Merry Christmas, drag racing fan. Happy holidays. Hope you have a great new year as well. Look, let's get it out of the way. I know I look like the young Kris Kringle. You do not have to tell me. I understand that already. Let's move on from that. Let's do some talking about some drag racing. And helping me tonight do that very thing is the one and only Miss Amanda Busick. Amanda, how you doing tonight?
I actually do see the young Kris Kringle.
See? Yeah.
You had me laughing backstage. It was great.
Yeah, just do the clay animation effects on me. Boom. There it is. There it is. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love the hat. Very festive.
Hey, you know, I got to get in the spirit a little bit. Now, you seem to be a gal that definitely loves the holidays. I mean, you're all decked out. And, yeah, I mean, it's great.
I don't move anything with my virtual studio here, but oh, yeah. And that's
Look at that. Look at that.
That's a 10-foot tree right there.
Yeah, yeah. And now you had some near disaster with that earlier in the season.
I mean, as par for 2020. So I got this fancy little, I found it on Amazon, but it's this tree stand that it foot pedals and it goes around the tree as opposed to dealing with all the little screws that go around, because that's like the worst part. So did that, but forgot to engage the safety. So I can't physically move the tree with my hands. It's just too large. So I was on my butt, essentially pushing it, and I hit the foot pedal, and I just went, I heard it go, and it popped up. I'm like, oh no. And the tree just came right at me. Luckily we only lost about 8 bulbs, RIP, but,
okay.
I have named my Christmas tree Al this year. Al has done me well.
You name the Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Really? I like that. I like that. Okay, Al this year, what have been some past names? I've got to ask.
Oh, well, this is the first one. This is the first Christmas tree I've had in my house. So, but I am going to go through the alphabet. So, you know, maybe Beatrice will happen next year, and maybe the year after. Yeah, I mean, you never know. That they all have their own personality.
They do. It's interesting. Trees definitely, they do that. They have their own personality, and yeah. So hey, talk to me a little bit about last night. Well, in the Caruso, that was wild.
Wow. No, it was. It's funny thinking back on 2020, things that people started doing in times of just necessity or need to. Whether stay present or just for their own entertainment. And thank goodness Mark Caruso jumped on the scene this year. It was very entertaining. He had a group of us on that have been in and off of his stuff all year long. So, but no, per 2020, the conversation got out of hand. I was on that call wondering what a viewer must be thinking. I don't know how you could follow one conversation. It would almost be like pick what square you're looking at and go with it, because
yes.
2 people trying to talk is not that efficient for anyone. But sort of like Mark's, here you are this year, and it's been a treat being able to pop on here with you a couple times, and I always anticipate what you have in store, because you always have some surprises. So I assume everyone watching, stay tuned. Something's going to happen tonight. I bet you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. You know, I tried to get some big names for the show, and I'm like, you know, that didn't work out. Christmas, whatever. We'll get them someday. And I'm like, you know what? Who I get is who I get. We'll have a good show no matter what, and definitely it's special to have you. And thank you for being the down-to-earth person you are and coming on and doing this thing. I greatly appreciate that. Everybody's always shocked, like, you get Amanda to come on your show? I'm like, yeah, she's cool. She's cool. So, yeah, thank you.
Going back to Galat, being able to catch up with you in person, and I mean, it was just, I mean, what a year. You know, you made the best of it. And I'm thankful for our friendship, and, you know, especially being able to get out to track and see familiar faces is a gift that I'll take this year.
Definitely. Well, look, Amanda, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to dive into some questions. All right. Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean. All right, folks. Later on, Bobby Bennett of Competition Plus. He will be on along with Joe Morrison, driver of the Leverage Family Top Fuel Dragster. Right now, though, Amanda Busick. Amanda, been following you on Instagram for a while now. It's very interesting. Instagram, you follow like one or two girls, even if they're not, of those type of Instagram channels, and that's all you get flooded with. It's like, because like only people
knows you.
It's like Instagram. The only ladies I follow are like you and Hannah Lopa and Jamie. They're all motorsports related. I'm like, yeah, thanks Instagram. I appreciate that. So your Instagram is very interesting. You've got the drag racing. You've got some great photos of yourself and what you're doing, and you update people. Give a little inside glimpse into what's happening in your life. But you have these inspirational quotes that pop up just about every day. And some of them are quite interesting. I want to read a few off and get, your opinion on why you're doing them and, what you feel like. This one, a wise woman once said, blank, this blank, and she lived happily ever after. That one was very funny. And I love this one. May you be happy. That was great.
Yeah.
Rise by lifting others. So true. I agree with that. Kindness costs nothing. Sprinkle that blank everywhere. Yep. I like that. Be somebody who makes everybody feel like a somebody. And you certainly live up to that one for sure. But yeah, why you feel like you got to throw out some of those, kindness sprinkles out there on Instagram?
I think if there's a moment that you can maybe enhance someone's day, or if you can give someone a little extra push they need to get through the day, at the end of all of it, we're all humans and we're all battling something. Everyone might put on a good face, but anyone watching and anyone, especially in a year like this, everyone has challenges. So if it can be a reminder that we're all in this together, and actually the one that I posted the other day where you said a wise woman once said, screw this crap, and lived happily ever after, that actually was for one of my girlfriends who was going through the ringer on something. So a lot of times I'll post things to also be poignant to people that I know personally that might be going through something, or even myself. So I love it. I take the role of being in my position very seriously. And if I can make someone smile or happy for a day, it's a job well done.
Well, you're definitely getting the job done. I know. I kind of wake up now, and I'm like, when I see the story, it's got the highlighted circle, and it's a man. I'm like, ooh, what inspirational quote today? So that's cool. I like them. I like them myself. So thank you for putting those positive posts out. Some folks are positively speaking about the positivity on your post. And Jack says hello. Many others say hi. So Todd Untz, he's actually in Top Dragster in the PDRA. He says, ask Amanda about the boat and Todd. So what's the boat and Todd?
I don't know if I can tell that story.
Oh boy, there you go. There you go. Does that fall in line of Courtney Ender's, a frozen body into the wood chipper? Oh my goodness, Courtney.
Letting out all the secrets yesterday, wasn't she?
Yes. Vomiting dog and everything. It was amazing.
Yeah, and then people, there was Ricky Smith at one point. Then it was just, what a conversation last night. Cheers to drag racing.
It was epic. It was epic. It was so epic I couldn't get in. So I was like, I got to go into my other shows. So there we go. So I couldn't get in.
Did they?
They didn't let me in. It was full. So.
Okay. To their defense, Camry did say at one point that people could not get in anymore because they were waiting in the waiting room. But I just love that Mark just started like adding. He's like, I'm gonna buy this spot.
Yes. Yeah, I could not imagine managing a show of 10 people. It's hard enough. Look, a couple of weeks ago had Roy Hill, Roy Hill, Ricky Smith, and Pat Musey on Competition Plus Power Hour, and that was enough. That was enough right there. Definitely.
I ran into Roy Hill in Greensboro right after our last race. I worked a car auction for the Greensboro Classic Car Auction in Greensboro, and sure enough, sitting right there was Roy Hill.
He's a pretty cool dude. He is, and if you get him to open up and tell some stories, he can tell you some, and it will keep going and going and going. So definitely like Roy. He's pretty cool. Hey, speaking of the car auction things, you mentioned that one there in Greensboro. You had one where you were working with Speed Sport and Ralph Shaheen, right? That was recently.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah, so
Okay.
I think it was probably towards the end of the season. Ralph had reached out and asked if I would be available, and it was actually on my birthday. And he's like, "Oh, do you want to work on your birthday?" I'm like, "Yes, I want to work on my birthday. That's amazing." And I'm from Greensboro, so to be able to go back and kind of just, I mean, I drove roads that I would Windover Avenue, which cuts right through Greensboro. I drove there to get to work that morning, so it's kind of a bit of a nostalgic kind of birthday as well to be back in Greensboro. But yeah, that was a blast. I anticipate there might be more of those in our future. Hats off to Ralph. He produced this all on his own with Speed Sport in distribution with MAV TV, with hopes that there'll be more. So it was pretty cool to watch him put that together and work all weekend and work it. So it hopefully will there's another one in February that would kick off my season. That'd be the first thing on my calendar. But yeah, working with Ralph, he's got some stories, man.
Oh wow, he does. I mean, I remember as a kid watching Ralph on TNN, and he's a motorsports guy. Like, it's not just one, because I remember with World of Outlaws, it was him. The TNN NHRA broadcast had him for a while, and TNN ASA had him. So yeah, Ralph was just like, yes, Ralph's on. So yeah, definitely cool to see that. Didn't know that Speed Sport was putting that on by themselves, basically. I did not realize that. That's pretty cool.
And apparently, so the guy that here's a small story short, and a small world story too. So Dean Green is the guy that owns the auction. He is a longtime car guy out of Greensboro. He's married to this lady, Marilyn. Marilyn has a modeling agency in Greensboro. I've actually modeled for Marilyn when I was a kid, which was just another small world coming together in Greensboro. But the way Ralph had explained it, Dean had been approached for this auction from different companies throughout the years saying, hey, pay us this amount of money, we'll produce this auction and we can air it on television or give you distribution. And Dean just wasn't interested in it. So Ralph went to Dean and said, I'm going to pay to do this auction and we're going to distribute it. All you have to do is just open the doors. And that was a deal that I think worked for Mr. Green, and hopefully it'll be a partnership that'll last many, many years and seasons in the future.
So what car rolled across the block that Amanda was like, ooh, that would be the one that I would like?
Oh, well, gosh, there were so many. I mean, I always kind of get goo-goo eyes over the split windows. My dad was a Corvette guy, and I'm sure if he was collecting, he passed away, but I'm sure if he was collecting cars, I'm sure he would want to add a split window into his collection.
The split windows are nice. They definitely are. They definitely are. Well, look, let's talk a little bit about drag racing. So NHRA, what a fascinating, wild, chaotic, but successful year. So your top 5 NHRA moments, what are they?
So you peppered me with this might be a question earlier. So I kind of thought, I mean, while it was such an abbreviated season, there was still a lot that happened. And one of the first things that just thinking back over the year, one of the first things I wrote down, because I was trying to think of what at the top end, like what was so exciting this year. And for several races, it was Justin Ashley's reaction times. And the thing that is and that kicked off earlier in the year before we had the break, but he kept it going when we got back and kicked off the races in Indy. But what I loved about Justin Ashley's reaction times is it's the veterans that would get out of their car, want to see the time slip, not to look at their reaction time, but to know what Justin did at the tree. So I thought that was really cool. And, he ended up winning a race and ended up becoming Rookie of the Year. So an incredible year for that guy. You can't get through this season without talking about Steve Torrance's 3rd championship in a row. I mean, that's legendary status right there. I asked him in Vegas before the race, is it too early to talk dynasty? And he wasn't having it. he's like, oh, we'll talk about that later in the career. But I just love how focused Steve can get. It might have been Indy 2, Indy 3. He had changed. He normally has in his car, he'll have a photo of home. He'll have a photo of Kilgore, Texas that he looks at for motivation. Well, he changed it out to a photo of Michael Jordan. And he was like, this is the focus I need for this year. I have to get myself into this. And sure enough, as he does time and time again, Steve Torrance, when he puts his mind into getting what he needs to get done, he does it. And it's impressive to watch. So that's definitely one. Erica Enders winning her 4th championship in such fashion too. I mean, I had a thought that Erica would win on Sunday in Vegas, but not the way that it happened. I did not see Jag Coughlin going out in round 1, nor Jason Line going out in round 1. And she didn't either. She's sitting there watching at the monitor. And then when Jason gets kicked out by Fernando Quadra, and Erica just doubles over and just like shock and just taking in that this is actually happening right now here in round 1. It was pretty cool to jump into action for that. So let's see, that's 3. What else do I have for you? Have to talk about, we're talking about the championships anyways, but I've said this, not to repeat myself, but I really, really believe this. There was a lot of question marks around what this season was going to be. Are people going to say, oh, well, they were COVID champions or they were the pandemic year? And absolutely not. All these championships came down the last day on Sunday. These are valid champions. And I know that those championship trophies showed up and they look at those as they earned those and every right that they had. So the idea that we were able to get this season and to have it, that's special to me, to have that championship Sunday. And then the last one really is that I wrote down was to be able to sit on this couch and even talk to you about a season. If you would have told me in May that we would be able to get 9 more races in this year at what we were facing at that point, I'm not sure I would have taken that bet. So props off to the league, to the organizers. A lot of people don't know that race in Vegas, we were the first event in the state of Nevada. And the protocols that we had to go through to make sure that race happened, and for the teams, for the league, for our production team, for the fans, for everyone to come together and to make sure that event was successful, not only for us, but as a representation to the state, like we can sit here and talk about it. And that to me is really, really cool.
Definitely so. Yes, I remember, how many rumors were there? No season. Oh, they're done after Indy 1. They're done after Indy 2. They're done. People were still rumoring, oh, they're going to be done after Texas. And it's like, folks, haven't you seen at least a little bit of commitment out of the NHRA to get this thing in? So, yeah, hats off to the NHRA to, yes, even have a season. And a fantastic season it was. And for anyone that wants to argue that, oh, they didn't race a 23 or 24 race schedule, then you just cheapen the 1981 schedule and championship, which was the last time there was 11 races, though we got 12 in, I believe it was. So, yeah, if you're gonna lessen the amount of races and cheapen a championship, and that's your logic, then well, Bob Glidden isn't that great of a champion. Then Don Garlitz isn't that great of a champion. You can't do that. Yeah, they won under the conditions that were put forward to them, and I think they were very challenging conditions. As someone said, they forgot what you looked like because you had your mask on all the time. Wearing the masks, going through the protocols, getting screened, getting checked. It wasn't the funnest thing to do, but we were still out there racing.
And we're out there racing, and they were all battles. Every single one of those came down to Sunday of the final race of the year. And that doesn't always happen with the 4 major classes. So as a fan and as someone that got to wake up on Sunday and had no idea what direction my day was going to go in, I'll take it. Yes,
definitely. Which, mind you, does create a bit of an argument of why not the old point system instead of the countdown?
I'm not throwing my 2 cents in on that conversation.
Oh boy, here we go. Yes. What I find fascinating, either way, there has been ones that people have ran away with no matter what the system was and no matter what the sport is. I will say, unlike NASCAR, if there is going to be an elimination style point system, it fits in drag racing because you eliminate round by round anyway. Why NASCAR is doing it, and that's a whole nother story. That is definitely a whole nother story. So cool. Well, I like those top fives. I like those top fives for sure. Well, look, I'm going to bring up on the screen, and to everybody in the comments section, I want you to know, I want y'all to chime in. I want to know if these are good or not, and if they are good, I'm going to put them out later to the public, and y'all can share them, and we can meme up the world. So I'm going to try these out on you, Amanda. So, folks, we've seen Elf on a Shelf, but have you heard of, and we'll begin with.
You've heard it. Now get ready for Ron on what? Tell me. Fill me in.
Caps on Flaps.
Okay, let's go.
Yep. Okay, cool. Okay. J.R. Todd, right now.
Okay. You've heard about it. Now get ready for Todd on. Okay, maybe I'm not ready.
Uh-oh. Think of a fish that starts with a C, not catfish.
Cod. Todd on cod?
Yes. Todd on cod. Todd on cod.
I have never seen a cod in my life. So
that may be
what cod looks like.
Yeah, that may be the first time for me too. That may be the first time for me. Oh, look, I love this one. I might catch some heat for this one, but I really like it.
Leah on a Chia.
Yes. That one's,
I like it.
I'm proud of that one. I like this one too. I don't mean to pick on him. I love Doug, but this one worked out great too.
Doug on a tug.
Doug on a tug. There we go. Hey, we're talking about Erica Enders, a great season she had. I think she could line up with these guys.
Erica. I know that this is one of those. See, these aren't my movies. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Amanda's not into the pop culture.
Captain America?
So, anybody in the comments? Anybody in the comments? Well, hey,
Captain America or no?
He's a part of what group? Enders on the Avengers.
Okay, but it could be Erica with Captain America on Captain America.
It could be. I didn't think about that. That's a dual one.
He was like a double entendre there.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought of that. Wow. I hadn't even thought about it. Yeah. Mark says impressive. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that, saying impressive. And I love what he did with the Ricky Smith picture of Ricky all buffed out.
And great. That was a great.
Yes.
Bobby's going to be here on here. I have to give a little background on that photo too. That was cool.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, you're not seeing that in our national events today. It used, at one time you could see that. Oh, go in the water box and have your shirt off and look all buff. Yeah, that's great. Definitely not happening now. So yeah, folks, if you like those, chime in. Let me know. We will. I'll put those out into social media and let them fly. Because I don't know. No one does anything for drag racing. It's like people do stuff for NASCAR. People do stuff for IndyCar. I'm like, nobody does anything for drag racing. Come on.
I like it. Well, you can do it.
Yeah, well, I'm doing it. That's right. I'm doing it. Hopefully I get some phone calls. Oh, let's see. Destroyer 1320, $20 in the chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's the most I've
add money to the chat.
Yeah, it's a super chat. If you can put money, and the money allows a certain amount of text. For $20, he could have wrote a much larger question, but he just wanted to say thank you, Destroyer 1320. I just made more money off this show in 27 episodes than I ever have before. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Where are we going to send it?
Keep the lights on. Yeah, keep the lights on. There we go. Yes, keep the lights on.
I like it.
Yeah. Hey, it's going to go to a tank of gas to get down and see Mom for Christmas. That's what it's going to do. That's what it's going to do for sure. Well, folks, look, we're going to take a quick break. Waiting for Bobby to come in. We'll see where he is at in just a few moments. Hopefully he's here soon. If not, well, we still got Amanda, and we'll keep rolling.
we just keep the party going.
FuelInjectorServices.com. It's essential that your fuel injectors perform at their peak, whether you're in your daily driver or high horsepower race machine, for you to get the most out of your vehicle. At FuelInjectorServices.com, we maintain precision fuel injectors with cleaning and flow testing, as well as providing the sale of genuine brand name injectors. It can all be done at FuelInjectorServices.com, the home of Flowzilla. One of the largest injector test benches in the country. Check out FuelInjectorServices.com. Veteran-owned, racer-tested, aerospace refined.
I love that Godzilla sound every time. I love it. I absolutely love it. You mentioned that you weren't a fan necessarily of like the comic book movies. What type of movies is Amanda Busick into? What did she watch?
This becomes a thing.
Do not say Hallmark holiday movies. Don't.
No, there are so many movies that I have not seen. It's almost ridiculous at this point. However, this has been a year that I have been able to catch up on like TV. So I'm watching Mad Men right now, which came out in 2007. So I'm catching up on that. I don't know where I've been hiding. So I don't know. I like dramas. I like action movies. My favorite movie would be Man on Fire with Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah,
I love the cinematography. I love the soundtrack in that movie. Yeah. A guilty pleasure that if it's on and I'm flipping through the channels, I will always watch Fifth Element. I don't know why, but I just will always. I don't know, something about that whole ridiculous storyline just makes me laugh and happy.
So let me be clear. Fifth Element. We're talking about Bruce Willis. Futuristic. Really,
yes.
You and that sci-fi.
The Stones. I don't know what it is. I just love.
Man, that is.
I'll watch it. I'm not seeking it out, but if it's
right. But if it's there, I know. I understand. Wow, that is interesting. The Fifth Element. I would not have picked that one at all to be, a clicker.
I wouldn't pick it either. I'm telling you, it's one of those things that, like, if it's on though, I just have to see if, I have to see if they get the Stones in the right places so that the world is saved.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that is such a I love sci-fi. That one is out there. It is out there.
It just makes me laugh.
Yeah, it is wild. Well, look, we've got Bobby on coming in right now. So, Bobby, man, look, for you, what's the top movie, man? What do you like?
Man, I could watch 3 movies all day long and be entertained. Twister, Step Brothers, and Friday. And every one of them will keep me glued to the TV all day long.
Twister?
Twister, I don't know. I don't know. I just like that. I just like the movie.
You cannot get any worse on special effects. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. If you worked in the office here at Competition Plus, I'm inside the home office, which is actually my wife's storeroom where she's redoing all of the other parts of the house. Unfortunately, my space gets invaded. So if you see like a vacuum cleaner or something behind me, that's why. Hey, I just paid the mortgage off. So I was going to say my job is to pay the mortgage off, but we just made the final payment on the mortgage. So
there you go. Congratulations.
Never late, never missed a payment.
Very cool.
Never.
So what is your job now since you got the mortgage paid off?
I'm softball dad. That's why I was a little bit late. I had to take the all arms and legs ball player to speed and agility. That's pretty entertaining to watch.
But it is.
These are things that we get to look forward to.
Yeah. I'm just so blessed to spend the evening with the great Amanda Busick and Lee.
Hey,
I'll take that.
I got to spend last night with you too.
Yes. Although I didn't get many words in edgewise there. What a mess. Woo. but it was an organized mess somewhat.
Everyone was excited. It was great.
That show, someone needs to definitely take clips of that show
Yeah.
and have shorts from it, like the vomit moment. That needs to be a short. All
Asking what an OG is.
Yeah, yes.
See, one thing that I left out of that, Ricky might be the OG, but I'm the OC. And everybody says the OC. Yeah, I'm the original Corona. Remember that?
Yes, you are.
I was Corona before Corona was cool.
That's right. Yeah, right.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I'd rather have 10 kidney stones back to back to live than to live through that hell again.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Out with it.
Yeah, it was about as fun as smashing your toe on the corner of the coffee table multiple times. Yeah, it's just, it's one of those things that, it was not a good experience, but if I had to go through it, I'm glad and I'm fortunate that I went through it and experienced it. I still have some scars that you'll never see from it, emotional and mental scars that I just try to laugh those off. But let me just say this. I've been married to my wife for 18 years. And until she drops you off at the hospital and you're met with nurses in hazmat uniforms, and they come up to her with the wheelchair to get me out of the car. I can't even hardly step out of the car. I was running a fever of like 104.4. And they looked at her and said, do not get out of your car. Do not park. You can't stay. You've got to go. And I honestly got out of that car thinking that was the last time I'd ever see my wife. And I told her, I could still remember my last words. I said, it's been a great ride. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. And I love you. And that was my last words. And I went into the hospital and they proceeded to work on my fever and work on me. Although they treated me for everything but the COVID when I was in there, because I was like the dog they were like the dog that caught the car, the dog that chases the car. Well, you caught the car. Now what are you going to do with it? So that's what it was. And I understood in the early goings why things had to shut down, because I'm not sure if it's as bad as it was the strain that I had. I'm telling you what, I got the Cadillac Escalade of the COVID. If there was certain levels of it, I got every option that thing had to offer. From being stomach sick to being head cold sick to having headaches to running fever to everything. And you just, I understood, and what would have really killed me. But then again, I wouldn't have known as if I would have ended up going to Gainesville and infecting half of the track there, and I wouldn't have even known it. Heck, I walked around in Spartanburg for 4 days and didn't even know I had it. And I was on my way to Gainesville, and Roger Richards, who is my staff photographer, says, "Boss man, you need to turn around and go back home." I said, "What?" "Yeah, they've postponed the race because of the COVID." I said, "This thing ain't nothing but a freaking hoax. It's political, everything. They're just trying to scare people. There ain't nothing to it." And then the hoax hit me the next day. I mean, it flat out hit me. I'm sitting there going, that's great. I finally get my first weekend off in 7 weekends, and I got the dang flu. And it just went downhill from that. They gave me Zithromax, the Z-Pack that they talk about, the strong antibiotics. I'm sure you've had it before, that they give people for pneumonia, and it made me sicker. It's just like everything they tried to do for me made me sicker. But anyway, praise God, we're here. Christmas time, we got to race. I got to be on the show with Amanda Busick, so we're all good now. All good in the world.
We're glad you're here with us and here to tell that story. I can't imagine your wife hearing those words. I was, I mean, can't say I wasn't holding back some tears there. That's challenging. It's I'm sure there's people watching that it's definitely affected. I mean, I know 3 people close to our family that have lost their lives. I'm sure it's affected people that are watching. So, a tough year all around, and I'm sure there will be lingering effects that you can't see.
There already are.
You said that beautifully. But like you said, we did get to go racing. So I was put on the hot seat on like what my favorite moment of the year was. What's yours?
What's my favorite moment? Oh wow. That's pretty tough. Watching those first cars fire up at the very first Indy race. The very first Indy race when we come back. And I tell you what, we there's a lot of times we put NHRA through the ringer, and a lot of times they bring it on themselves. But there's a lot of times that they do the right thing. And I'll tell you what, the sanctioning body does the right thing more times than not. And to watch them start that race up, start that season up, when we had no clue what was going to happen, if we were ever going to race again, that was what that's what did it for me. Because for me, that was my first time back out at a drag race. And I'd vowed that I wouldn't come back to another drag race. And it's just like that last day, I said, this thing's not going to hold me hostage anymore. And I didn't let it. And I came out to the race, and it was pretty good. Pretty good.
That's an interesting thing you just said. Did your experience give you a new perspective on life?
Yeah, I always appreciated life. And I'll be honest with you. And have you ever seen the movie The Shack? Hey, bring me back down again, Lee. Have you ever seen the movie The Shack? Where the guy dies. Well, he doesn't die, but he's in a coma, and he goes to heaven, and he sees all of his family that's been there. I watched that movie every night that I was sick, because if I went that night, I wanted to be prepared for what I was going to wake up in. That's the scars I talk about, and things that I'm not really proud of. We got to like day number 8, and I was running real high fever, felt like I was going to die. And I know people, it's just like, people say, God, I'm tired of hearing about this COVID thing, but it's real life. It's what I lived. Some people win the lottery. I won COVID. Lucky me, And on that Friday, I couldn't get any of my doctors to take my calls. I couldn't get the hospital. When I went to the hospital, I actually went to the hospital twice. I went on like day number 4, and they sent me home, and my fever was going up like it went up a degree in an hour. That's how fast my fever was rising. And they sent me home. They said, well, we gave you the test. Here's some Tylenol, go home. Basically, they told me, said, well, write back to us, go through our portal here at the hospital if you need to come back and see the doctor. So I wrote the doctor, and I put in all caps, I am dying here. That's what I didn't embellish. I put it in all caps with about 6 exclamation points. And I typed out what had been going on. Like my fever had been going from 104 to 105. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I need to see somebody. Well, I get an email the next day that says, you have sent this email to the wrong place. You sent it to customer service. If you have an emergency, dial 911. And at that moment, I just lost all my hope, all my spirit. I said, I'm going to die. I'm going to die in this room. And I prayed. I said, God, I can't take this anymore. Protect my family. Just take me home. I can't do this anymore. And then the part where I'm not really proud of, I keep a loaded 45 beside my bed. Okay. And I thought, well, if God didn't take me quick enough, I was going to do it. So I didn't end up becoming a burden on my family with brain damage or my organs shutting down. I just was not going to be a burden on my family. And boy, when you start thinking that stuff, they always say God can look right through to your heart and know, you know, you can tell people, I can tell you one thing, but you can't look right through to my heart, but God could. And there's only like one or two points in my life that I felt like God has protected me from myself. And my wife, I swear to goodness, she stuck her head in the room there. And the room, I felt like the ogre in the dungeon, you know, when they were going to try to feed me, when I would try to eat something, they'd open up the door, slide the food in and shut it real quick. And when my wife would come in to take my temperature, I'd make her inhale before she came in so she couldn't breathe in the room with me. And she stuck her head in the room and said, "Don't you die on me. I can't make it without you." And I'm like, I looked up to the sky and I said, "Okay, Lord, I got your message here." But those are the things that, you know, it was the isolation that was so hard, because as human beings, our nature is to want to congregate with one another, fellowship and everything. And when you have people walking around in hazmat uniforms that you look in their eyes and they don't want to be around you, and you have nobody to talk to and you're isolated. There's only so many episodes in the hospital I could watch of Law and Order SVU and Bar Rescue, you know. There's only so, and what's the cruel thing, as you can see with my Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey, the most cruel thing of all of this, I'm laying there and I'm delirious in bed, and I just flipped through the channels, and the NFL Network was saying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have agreed in principle with Tom Brady to be their quarterback. I said, shut the front door. This is a doggone fever working on me. There's no way. And only when I got to the hospital did I realize that Tom Brady was our quarterback.
Wow. That's
so I'm just like, but so what are you guys up to?
As someone that's been around drag racing, I don't want to, say how many years but you've been around the sport for a good amount of chunk. You've seen a lot of things happen. We were talking about Justin Ashley and just his performance this year and the reaction times. What do you make of it?
Well, he's the new generation. If you look, and I played 42 years of baseball, softball, and all of this, what you see is a different kind of athlete coming to the sport. I was talking to my buddy Jonathan Hurst, who we played together growing up. He said, "B, these kids will never be like us. We never had to be pushed to play ball. We played backyard ball probably 55 games a season in the backyard." And then he said the kids of today, they benefited from what we didn't have. And for Justin Ashley, he benefited from a lot of things his dad didn't have. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing about Mike Ashley, his father. He's one of the most naturally talented drivers. He was like a Cole Trickle before anybody knew who Cole Trickle was. They told him to get in the car and he drove. I mean, the guy went 211 miles an hour through the grass and never lifted. You know, back at a time when door slammers were only going 206, 207. And so Justin, I've watched him methodically work his way through the ranks from junior dragster to top dragster. And we're talking only months in top dragster before he went into an A fuel car. And this kid won his very first race. Very first race he raced a national event. And so what you're seeing is a new, younger driver who had all of the benefits of coming up through a farm system of drag racing. And that's why you're seeing some of these younger drivers that are so brutal on the tree. And Justin, he's always been an overachiever where he shouldn't have achieved. I mean, did you realize that this kid used to be a college wide receiver in college football? Well undersized, everything. And I look at Mike Ashley, his father, who won 2 world championships and is a pro modified, and he even won Indy in a funny car, in his first full season. So we've got the Cole Trickle who said, just get in the car and drive. And then you got the kid that came up through the ranks, book smart. Does that make sense? I mean, you look at the 2 different driving styles.
Definitely does. And, talking about, natural there with Mike Ashley and the accomplishments that Justin has been able to click off in such a short amount of time moving through the ranks. It has to be said, man, you've accomplished a lot. I mean, Competition Plus one day was nothing, and now here it is, the biggest online drag racing magazine, and the impact and the influence that it has. So, yeah, how did Competition Plus become exactly what it is that people flock to go get their FTI rumor mill news and stuff, all from NHRA drag racing to the most obscure forms of drag racing? How did it get there, man?
Well, the problem is that too many people told me growing up that you can't do something. And that's the worst thing you can ever tell me, is that I can't do something. And I'm going to ask, why can't I do it? And I'm going to go to the end of the earth to prove you wrong. So they wouldn't, when I say they, I wrote for printed magazines. I worked for the old Superstock and Drag Illustrated magazine. That's all I wanted to do when I was 13 years old, drive a 1962 Corvette and modified Eliminator and be the editor of Superstock and Drag Illustrated. Well, none of the guys would give me a chance to write for them, and rightfully so. I stunk as a writer. And I finally, when none of them would give me a chance, I went to the bank and borrowed $1,500 and started my own magazine back in 1988 called Competition Plus. It was a 40-page black and white sportsman-only magazine. I found my niche. And we had almost 1,000 subscribers when I ran out of money. It was a tough thing. And I vowed that if I ever got a chance to do another magazine, I would call it Competition Plus, and I would make it a success. Well, fast forward, there were a lot of cliques in the motorsports journalism group. And if you weren't in the clique, you didn't really get a lot of assignments. You get, crumbs wherever they throw you crumbs. So all I wanted to do was be part of their clique, and they wouldn't let me. So Jeff Burke was doing drag racing online. And I remember Jeff as being one of those guys that gave me such a hard time in the industry when I was coming up. And Jeff said, well, we're going to start this internet drag racing magazine thing, and we'd love for you to come be part of our staff. I said, well, let me think about it. Let me think about this. And I remembered how he always knocked me down, how he mistreated me. And I said, if this guy can do it, how hard can it be? So I got this web developer, and we started Competition Plus like 2 weeks after Jeff had his deal out. And my goal from day one was to bring real legitimate journalism to the internet, because it was basically a wild, wild west. And in the first year, I felt like one of those turtles, hatching from the egg, trying to make it to the ocean without getting eaten by the sharks or whatever eats turtles these days. And I was just like, God, right off the bat, we had the .com crash. So all of a sudden, everybody says, well, these .coms, they're just all, the internet's not going to make it. And I'm like, well, that's just great. So then I go to try to sell this ad to a business. And I got to see your reaction when you hear this one, Lee. So if you'll bring me down there just a little bit. So I go in to sell this guy an ad on my magazine. And I said, this internet magazine. It's a new wave. It's almost like the magazine that sits on your coffee table that magically reprints itself every night. He said, how are you going to sell me an ad to a magazine I can't take to the crapper with me? I said, I said, the time is coming that this technology is going to be in the palm of your hand. Now, buying you this was September of 1999. And not only did we have the written word, but we also had video, something that no other magazine had at the time, because we were still called a website. They'd say website. And I said, no, it's e-zine, electronic magazine. It's the new wave. And he says, oh, I don't think this internet thing's going to catch on anyway. So then I kind of walk out of there, tail between my legs there, just beaten down. I said, I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting. And then we're getting ready to start getting some companies interested in it. And then 9/11 hits. And then all of the companies pull back. So here we are again. We're about to crash again. And then I go to Mr. Gasket, and you're going to die on this one. I can't make this stuff up. You seen the movie Tommy Boy, okay? Right? Tommy Boy. This was my Tommy Boy moment. So I fly up with money I did not have to try to sell an ad to Mr. Gasket. Mike Stasko was a guy there. So I walk in there, and he says, what's your magazine's name again? I said, it's competitionplus.com. He said, we might have a problem. I said, you haven't even heard what my ad rates are. He says, no. We own the trademark to the name Competition Plus. That's our shifter. And I'm like,
uh-oh.
You ever see that part where Tommy Boy goes in to sell the ads, Chris Farley, and he just has the meltdown, and then the guy says, okay, I'll buy. So I said, that's just freaking great. I travel all the way up here on money I did not have to sell you an ad, which I really wanted to be able to. And now you're going to take my company that I've poured my heart into for 3-4 years now, and I'm going to have nothing. That's just freaking great. Hallelujah. And he looked back at me like that. He says, whoa, calm down. I didn't say that was definite. I just said that we need to look at it. I said, well, my luck, you're going to sue me out of business. All right. So go ahead and let me have it. And Mike's sitting there going, I've never had any presentation like this. And Mike says, okay, let's forget about the other stuff. How much are your ad rates? And I told him, I said, you can get this and 5 ads for this price. But I guess it freaking doesn't matter because I'm going to be out of business anyway. And he says, calm down. He said, how about we just forget about the legal thing and I buy an ad from you and you go home and you stay in business?
I like that.
And I said, what? He said, I'll buy an ad. So when I tell you it was just like the Tommy Boy thing, except I didn't go and blow everything up. It was. And then all of a sudden, and I run into another businessman that I just told him, I sat down one day and I envisioned, what would I do if I had a budget that was unheard of? If I could have the money to do whatever I want, what would I do with Competition Plus? So I sat down and I drew up a budget. At the time, no major magazine had a major sponsor. So I went to this businessman and I told him, I said, I have a way that can make your company a household name. I said, really? He said, really? I said, yep. I got it all drawn out. I said, when you get about time to make your budget, I'd be glad to fly wherever you're at or whatever and give you my presentation. He says, well, what if I wanted to see that presentation next week? And I'm like, I guess I'll be buying a ticket to come up there next week. So I come up there, and I had written out, if I got half of what I wanted, and we're talking about my company was barely doing $20,000 in sales a year. I hadn't gotten a paycheck in 5 years since I started the thing. Not one dime. I didn't even have enough money left over to buy a hamburger. Everything that I went into it went into travel and trying to cover races. So I came up and I gave my presentation. And mind you this is 6-figure money. And he looked at it and says, 3-year deal, huh? I said, yeah, that's what I could do. That's what I can accomplish. He said, okay, where do I sign? And overnight, I just like went in the other room and I cried. I cried like a freaking baby. I'm just like, how do you act when overnight your company has just grown by 70%? Well, actually, it was more like 150%. Well, no, 300%. It was a lot of money. You go from 20,000 a year to 6-figure money, and you're just like, well, I guess what I got to do is surround myself with the best people in the business. So all of a sudden, I went to the people that I didn't think I could get in the world. I even went to one higher up journalist that told me my deal would be an abysmal failure. And I framed that letter that he sent to me with my first canceled check I wrote him. See, one thing that I've learned in this world is that the toes you step on today will be connected to the ass you'll have to kiss tomorrow.
Remember people on your way up.
That's right. So all of a sudden, the magazine grew exponentially and our traffic went along with it. I mean, it just all of a sudden, now we had the best writers and the best everything. And this sponsor signed a 10-year extension with increased money. But unfortunately, he got in trouble with the government. So all of a sudden, one day, my whole money that I had, I lost 60 to 70% of my business in one day. And so I'm a wreck. I was the other opposite emotional spectrum as I was when I signed that deal. And let me tell you something. The checks came on time and they didn't bounce. And people liked working for me because I brought their paycheck to the track with me. Because I don't like owing anybody money. I'd rather pay you off and be done. So I'm walking around. My eyes are just, I'm just a wreck. I'm really having a bad hair day. And, people think, well, God can't speak to you, but he does speak to me. He speaks to my heart. And I said, what am I going to do, Lord? I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess this is the end of the road. And he just spoke to my heart. He said, you're going to sit back and watch me work. And within a year, I had sold enough ads to equal what I lost and then some. Because it was up and down. It was so tough. And then within 2 years, I had another major sponsor. And then we got to the point where the ad sales where we didn't need a major sponsor anymore. And so, about this time we'd have 7 or 8 internet magazines come in and everything. And I looked at Roger. I said, "Do we really make it look this easy?" I missed 2 kids growing up doing this. I missed 2 kids growing up. You think about that. I had a chance to sell my company for millions of dollars, and I didn't because I never got into this for the money. I just wanted to make a difference. That's all I wanted to make. Now that I'm getting old and I'm, all these years I waited and waited to grow a beard, and the dad blame thing came in gray. Now tell me where the justice is in that. But, it's just, and when the company offered me a lot of money, I'm like, well, here's the deal. What happens when somebody loses their purpose? Plus, what kind of money do you put on missing the lives of your two kids growing up because you're off working all the time? I had a daughter that got addicted to drugs, and you second guess yourself and you wonder, well, if I had been around, would that not have happened? But she's like 3 years clean. I praise God and I'm proud of her. I have a son that ran into some issues in life. Would that have happened if I would have been at home, been more of a normal dad? And then I met my wife, and we have a child together. And I made a vow that I would try to stay at home more. I would try to be the dad I wasn't. And I always tell my youngest daughter, I said, you got something your older siblings didn't have. You have a mom and a dad that were together the whole time. And if you don't think that makes a difference, it does. Because she graduated with a 4.35 grade point average, was a 6-year letter in softball. And she's a freshman in college now. And she's going, even before I had the COVID, she was going to become a respiratory therapist. Now, my granddaughter, we took custody of her when she was 4 years old. And I can tell you, at 53 years old, having a 13-year-old kid was not in my life's plans. But you do what you have to do for your kids. So I have 5 kids now. She's my 5th. We always say, and she loves softball. I told her from the day she came, I said, baby, you're special. Okay? Don't ever let anybody tell you that you don't matter. And from that day, I taught her how to play ball. I taught both my girls how to play ball. I said, because you're going to get a college scholarship. You're going to go play ball, and you're not going to have to depend on anybody. You will make your way. And once you get through college, you don't ever have to pick up a softball again. Well, my granddaughter, who is nothing but arms and legs, she is taken up to it, and she's pitching junior varsity softball. She did as a 12-year-old. So
that's incredible, Bobby.
That's the whole story of where I'm at. Just you refine your product. You try to be the one publication, just like we said on our T-shirts. You've seen our T-shirts. It says where you can believe what you read on the internet. Yep. And that is, if I could expand a little bit. You know what term I hate? Fake news. Fake news, because I believe the fake news is an absolute deliberate act of trying to write a non-factual story. That's what true fake news is. But you know what? Journalists are no different than race car drivers, no different than baseball players, no different than anybody else, that sometimes mistakes get made. Sometimes you make mistakes. And to brand a journalist as being fake news when they made a simple mistake is the same as telling a drag racer they're a cheating SOB.
I think you use the word deliberate.
Deliberate.
I'm believe it or not, I'm taking my real estate. I'm getting my real estate license, and you're learning all about negligence and willful omissions and things like that. It's the word deliberate, I thought is important. What you said that.
Yeah. I mean, it says, excuse me. It's we take very serious what we do, because I can tell you, after the racers have packed up and they've left, when we come to get interviews and they say, come back in 10 minutes, they don't realize that that's 10 minutes at the end of the race longer. We're already getting out of there an hour and a half after everybody, because we have to write our stories. Those stories just don't write themselves. When you do an interview, it doesn't just pop right out transcribed on your computer. You got to transcribe it and stuff. I took Robert Height to a race with me. I said, you want to see what this is like? I've never been able to get him to come back to another race with me to work again. He said, my God, I thought you guys would have quit about hour number 19. No, that's when we're getting started.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And I'm just like, you know, people don't understand what goes into it. And I challenge any racer. Oh, they say, excuse me, you don't know what it's like to drive a top fuel car. Well, you don't know what it's like to ride about a top fuel car. Anytime you want to change, I can always learn to be a driver. Can you learn how to put words together and tell a story in 600 words or less after sitting there all day? I challenge you.
Yeah.
It look easy, as you said.
Yep. Well, Bobby, look, your
one thing, if I might add, when you read my articles, do you think I'm a pretty decent writer?
Yes, certainly.
Great writer.
I don't even have a high school diploma.
Hey.
I learned from the best. I took all the crap jobs that nobody wanted, and I worked my way from nothing. Not that I want any praise, but I'm just telling you that anybody can do that. Have you watched our Legends of series stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I have no filmmaking experience. I just jumped on a computer and learned it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Learned it, taught myself, watched others, asked questions. And I think that's what, and I think that's what today's youth are missing, is they don't know how to think and problem solve. I mean, when I was a kid, I was a mistake baby. You know what I mean? Not that my life was a mistake, but when there's 10 years between you and your nearest oldest sibling and you're the baby of the family, you're the oops baby. I got news for you. So my sisters were married and grown up and left. I was the only boy. I had to create my own games. Heck, I created a fantasy drag racing game when I was 12 years old before anybody knew what that was. You know, you just learn to be creative. And I got that. I tell you, I was blessed to have the two best parents I could have ever had in this world. My mom, and unfortunately, I was 13 years old when she went to heaven. But I learned a lot from her. And I learned my never quit attitude is from her. My tell it like it is to a fault is from her. My dad, he just kept his nose to the grindstone and just worked. He was as good a man as I could have ever been named after. Because I'm a junior. I was named after him. So, you know, not trying to get all sappy on you. I'm just telling you, you wanted to know about me. That's about me. So if you got to kick me to the curb, I understand. I'll see you later.
Holidays, the end of the year, this is where people get reflective. You know, this is where this is how it happens. It's great.
Definitely.
I mean, I feel like I've learned so much about you tonight. This is really.
You know, Bobby Lagana, he said one thing. Every year we do a what I'm thankful for at Competition Plus, and I just thought it was so fitting that Bobby would do it, because he's had a tough year all the way around. And some of the things he said, I was in awe of. And one of the things he said is that I am thankful for my memories. I am thankful for my memories. And let me tell you something. I still remember what it was like to be that kid at Spartanburg Dragway. just picking up trash just to be able to come into the drag races. And I know this is going to hit high on the cheese-o-meter here, but I remember what it was like being that kid in the 1982 Buick Skyhawk that was just a couple of cylinders from blowing up. But it was like that song, Ain't Nothing Wrong with the Radio. It had a good radio in it. And every Sunday afternoon when I would go watch the very first pro modified races, I would hear two songs. Girls, Girls, Girls by Motley Crue. And this is a cheesy part. Only in My Dreams by Debbie Gibson.
And you rocked out to it.
Well, I would listen to it, and I was driving, and I would say, only in my dreams could I ever do this for a living. Gosh, that seems too much to be true. Here I am driving up here with like a packet full of photos. If I sell enough photos at $5 a piece, I'll have enough money that I can come back to the racetrack next week. I thought, wow, what it would be only in my dreams if I could do this for a living.
Bobby, look, yeah, you're doing it, and you obviously are a success story, up and down and still plowing away. Thank you for your tenacity, and thank you for the opportunities you've provided to so many. I mean, many can link back to you one way or the other and say, hey, I got to start there. And hey, it's encouraging, because if the internet can do something like what it has done for you, it can do something for this court gesture as well. Folks, we got to take a break, and right after the break, we're going to have Joe Morrison on.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
Oh, well, hey, Joe. He's got a nice one. He definitely does. Yes.
That's all my wife. Wait, let me try that again.
It is opposite.
It's a rookie thing. What can I tell you? Yeah, no, that is all my bride, Jennifer, man. She's awesome. The funny thing is, just a second ago, she came into the room. She's like, when you're giving love to everybody else, don't forget me. I'm like, what do you mean forget you?
Yeah, Joe's got a tree.
Like that.
Joe's got the tree. I got this.
There you go.
I don't know what I got back here, but it's not like that. I can tell you that much.
I take no credit for that whatsoever. Zero. No.
Right. So, by the way, happy birthday, man. How many years?
Do I have to actually tell? I mean, yeah.
Well,
I am. Well, I have 4 kids, so I'm not the 40-year-old virgin, but I am the 51-year-old rookie. So
Still the oldest one.
It's funny, and Brian Loans and I have known each other for probably 7 or 8 years, and he jokes with me. He's like, "Yeah, right." Like, it's like the old man jokes. So, hell, I don't feel more than 26. I really don't. I swear to God, I don't. I don't know. It's all good. You know what? There's Bobby, I relate to a lot of what you said about how long it took, and thank you, Bobby, because you actually were willing to publish stories about when I was still trying to work with the COPD Foundation before I even started Right to Breathe. You were there to believe in me early on, and listen. I appreciate what you do for all racers, not only the top of the heap, guys like Torrance, right? Like you were talking about earlier, Amanda, and how amazing he is. But, but guys like me that are trying to work their way through. So, I'm kind of like a 10-year overnight success. And I spent a long time chasing a music career. You want to tell you how low my IQ is, but yeah. So I really appreciate and listening backstage to both of you guys. It's like, man, I like I don't know that I deserve to be in this company. I'm so inspired by both of you. It's amazing.
Well, we've been talking about top moments of 2020, and I'm sure if you have your top moments, I would think one of them happened in August of this year.
Absolutely. You know, it's there's a couple of them, right? So there's a few, right? So number one, I'm going to go back. Actually, I'm going to go even before that, when I got my license at Maple Grove in July. And I had a lot of my buddies that worked on that. We were all nostalgia funny car racers between, you know, the nostalgia funny car stuff and the fuel altered stuff that I did beforehand. Having all the nostalgia funny car guys come in at the last minute, work on the top fuel car the day I was getting my license. Having my friend Bill Hodgins there, having Jungle Pam there, who's a friend of mine from, you know, when she works with Bill. Bill is George Riedenauer's crew chief, and one of my best friends, Rocky Perone, there. So that was one of the other amazing moments, as you alluded to, in August, was getting my first ever, you know, qualifying for Indy and having my first ever race day happen in Indy. That was amazing. The other one was being the first pair out in Gainesville, sitting in the car. You know, I'm in the right lane, Leah Pruitt's in the left lane, and they're singing the national anthem. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I dreamed of this my whole life. And to be sitting there and to be the first pair of cars. Now, of course, right. Look, as a competitor, you don't want to be the first pair down the track. But in that moment, man, I didn't care. I just, that it's just like I had chills, you know, just listening. And like, it's like, you know, and then the guys in the safety safari point, like, all right, are you ready? Are you ready? You're good. You're good. All right, fire the cars. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I'm actually here, you know? So that was certainly one of them. And another one is one that you probably wouldn't expect. So I'll tell this story in 15, 20 seconds or less. So crew guys wanted to do a fun thing, and we had dinosaur costumes in Houston. I don't know if you guys remember seeing that. That's because we weren't going to be in Vegas for Halloween, and the Airbnb that the crew had in Gainesville, it looked like Jurassic Park, so the dinosaurs. Well, because of that, we had a lot of kids in the pits, and poor Matt Hanley broke his back putting kids in and out of the car. We let kids sit in the seat of the leverage racing top fuel car. And there was this one little girl. It was her first weekend at the races. They were there on Saturday. They came back early on Sunday to see eliminations. And I had Billy first round. And let's face it, man, if you have one of those Capco cars, man, it's a tall order. And we lost. And this poor girl, she was in the stands, and she was just literally bawling because we lost. Like, her favorite driver lost, you know, and how I earned that privilege, I have no clue. However, so she came back to the pits, and Dina Mashburn, who works on the car too, Dina and Mickey, husband and wife team with us. Dina's like, you got to talk to this little girl. I'm like, oh my goodness. She was crying because we lost. And so I'm like, what am I going to do for this kid? Right. Because I just, you know, I wanted to give her something. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I asked her to sign my helmet. So one of my top moments of the year was when little Ashlyn signed my helmet. And Bobby, to your point earlier, I probably got $1,400 into that helmet by the time I paid for it. And I had Brendan Murray painted and all the things that you need, right? And without getting too much inside baseball and all the safety equipment you need. But I was like, you know what? You know, money that I didn't have for a helmet that I needed, right? But to have her signature on it, that was one of the most amazing moments of the year, because I was humbled by that little child that really actually cared about what we were doing, and that blew me away. So yeah, just, you know, I don't know that I deserve to have had such an amazing 2020. Believe me, it was full of challenges and things that, you know, of course I wish could have been better, but But good Lord, at this time of year to be thankful about things, like there were some just amazing moments this year.
So you mentioned Billy Torrance, Leah at Gainesville. I think your first ever career start was with Clay Milliken. As you're getting used to this and getting more seat time, have you noticed different routines amongst the drivers at the starting line?
So yeah, a little bit, and everybody's got their own thing in the staging lanes, you know. So that's interesting. I've had the good fortune to speak with Sean Langdon. I've got some good friends over at Kalitta's, and I happened to be over there doing something else, and started a conversation with Sean. We wound up talking for a few minutes, and he is an amazing student of other drivers, and I'm trying to pick that up a little bit. The funny thing is I have, being that I do have a lot of seat time in a lot of different cars over the course of many years, so I'm fortunate that I'm very comfortable in my routine, and so I'm observant of what other people do. But I haven't been around long enough to really start to kind of see what they do. I've always prided myself, and the guys from the Northeast Timing Organization, the Nostalgia Club that I've raced with for years, they would tell you I'm always like a straight up racer. I don't play starting line games. I don't have to. I just want to do my thing. Drag racing is kind of a selfish sport in that way. It's kind of like archery in a way, where you're really focused on yourself. But yeah, it's interesting. I like the fact that there are different routines, and it's something that I have to learn more about. But I've noticed kind of, you know, look, it's like any sport, right? Everybody's got their own way to get into the zone.
Well, for the Leverage team, it seems like y'all getting in the zone, a part of it is being so fan friendly. It has to be one of the most fan-friendly teams out there, period. Kids going into the car, not even kids, adults. Dude, that lady in Gainesville, that was the happiest moment of her life, I think. I got one of those photos. She is smiling ear to ear to be sitting in that car. And she actually got to help in the process because Todd was working on the clutch. I mean, she got to do that a little bit. So, what is it like working with, yes, small budget team, independent style team, but yet so fan friendly and interactive? What is it like?
It really is kind of a dream come true, because again, like some of the old school drivers from years ago when there weren't, 22, 23 national events, those guys used to make their money match racing. And that's what I came up through between the competition of the Nostalgia Club, but then driving the 134 Fuel Coupe for Ted and Goldie, and then driving the Nostalgia Funny Car for Rocky Perone. Match racing, I mean, it's all about the fans. Like, yeah, you're racing, and I've been really fortunate. It's funny, you mentioned, driving against some of the different pro drivers here that are now, which, pinch myself, are kind of my peers, right? But look, I had the great fortune of match racing with Bruce Larson. Bruce, and he's just an amazing guy. I'm so inspired by him. But I've raced a Nitro Funny Car against Bruce Larson. I got to line up with the Winged Express at the California Hot Rod Reunion more than once. So when it's all about the fans, it's always been all about the fans. So being a part of the Leverage team, the team that I do feel like, look, we know what it's like to be fans, because we are fans. I'm no different than anyone else sitting in the grandstands, and I know there's a lot of drivers say that they make terrible spectators. Well, guess what? I don't. I make a great spectator. And if I'm not racing, I want to be at the track. It's funny. My mom and dad's first date was to Island Dragway. I mean, literally, and again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Hank Dinger, who still is announcing at Island Dragway, Hank says he's one of the few announcers that's seen me both in diapers and in a fire suit, and it's true. I love being at the track, so to be driving in Top Fuel, it's just an amazing thing. Oh, and speaking of amazing, my wife just handed me an Irish coffee for my birthday.
Fantastic.
Well, let's hope he doesn't see you in diapers in a Top Fuel car.
Yeah.
Diapers in a fire suit.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm not judging.
That's it. I've had moments in that Fuel Ultra where I was kind of wishing I had a diaper on, but that's a whole other story.
Well, Joe,
Sorry, Amanda.
No, you're good. What does 2021 look like for you?
So some exciting stuff going on. I did just announce on social media in conjunction with a European company called Race Software. It stands for Rapid Axle Development Evolution. And they have actually worked with, among other things, they have someone on staff from the McLaren F1 team. And I am so excited about this. They are launching actually in January. And to have the opportunity to be working with a company that, from what I can tell, they are going to revolutionize the way racers approach their chassis setups. This software will actually can do what's called a kinematics and compliance test, which basically is able to simulate chassis reactions within 60 seconds, all done inside the cloud. So in other words, let's make it really simple. For a $65 a month fee, you can actually make runs and do simulated runs in your car, whether it would be on an oval track or whether it be on the drag strip, and see what the results of that suspension would be. So you can actually tune your suspension before you even get to the track. And the level of automotive engineering, that will be available to even weekend bracket racers, it's never been done before. And so I'm so excited to be chosen by them as their brand ambassador to drag racing. And, we're going to have some really exciting things. We're actually going to be working with them together, even though a Top Fuel car does not have a suspension, but we do have chassis flex. We do have tire distortion, and there are several things that happen within the Top Fuel car that act like a suspension. So we're going to be even developing with them using Formula One technology to look at how the Top Fuel chassis and tire reacts and see what we can do to actually improve our performance from there. So pretty cool stuff. I'm so excited to be bringing a company that's never been in drag racing before. And I actually had never even considered drag racing until we began talking. And I'm the luckiest guy on the planet, honestly, I think, so that's going to be a great thing. And that'll be launched January 18th is the target date. And we're on target right now for that launch. So that's part of it. We're looking at ideally 10 to 12 races. I have a couple of other things that are in development. And actually, I can announce this here. This has not been announced on social media. So, here's our big debut. I am working with a company called Hydra Patch. And what it is actually a hydration patch. So you still drink water. You have to drink water, right? But what it does is it provides transdermally. You'd wear it on your arm, or you could put it on your forearm or whatever. And it actually provides the essential nutrients you need to keep you hydrated, and actually helps the water work better. I did test it in Gainesville. So I actually was trying the product out in Gainesville, and they're going to be launching in spring of 2021. So Hydra Patch is officially on board with the Leverage Racing team. And I am really, really excited. I mean, I've been making it a point to do my best to bring companies into drag racing that have never been involved in racing before. And I would really love to bring new technology and not only new companies, but to bring value to the drag racing audience, something that they maybe have never seen before. So it's an exciting time, and we have some traditional stuff in the works too. But these are a couple of things that I'm really excited about. It's just I love the sport. I love the people in the sport most of all. And so to try to bring value to those folks, not only the racers through this software program, but racers and fans with Hydra Patch. It's some exciting stuff.
Joe, I got to ask you, do you think that company, instead of making a patch, would just make a whole shirt for me? I cannot stand to drink water. I'm like, I'll drink 40,000 Propels, but I cannot drink water. I just, and this other company, they do understand that trying to measure a top fuel dragster is like trying to put a collar on Godzilla, right?
Yeah, we've had some very interesting conversations, and I thank God that I'm surrounded by people that are way smarter than I am.
Yeah, they're going to look around and say, we need a bigger boat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah, you're going out there in the rowboat trying to catch jaws there.
Yeah. We were talking about the different variables, and you know, you said, okay, you know, we would talk about a couple of different things, and you'd say, okay, well, that's great. I'd say, wait, hold on, we haven't talked about the clutch yet. Hold on, you know, it's interesting, and these guys they're absolutely brilliant. And again, you know, look, if you want to talk about the difference in a drag racing budget versus a Formula One budget, you know, it's by a factor of like, I don't know, 20.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. So the level of engineering that these guys are used to working with, and it's really, it's been amazing so far. And I'm blessed. There's another team that we're kind of working with, that's going to be providing information as well. And it's some exciting stuff. But I'll have to talk to Hydro Patch about doing a shirt, right?
Yeah, Joe, I was going to ask you, now, in my other life outside of drag racing, I coach girls fast pitch softball.
Oh, yeah.
And we're usually out there playing in tournaments where it's 100 degrees or 90 degrees in the shade out there. And I have to think that maybe some kind of hydration patch would be good for these players. And I think that there is an untapped market there as well as in drag racing.
So the founder of the company actually was a college level baseball coach. He played, and I just got to remember if Cliff actually played pro ball or he played double A ball. I got to remember that, and I really should know. So I'm sorry, Cliff. But truthfully, this patch is, they're not only looking at sports. And I will tell you that I think that it did provide me with a level of focus. And for me, look, as a guy who, well, as of today, I'm 51 years old, right? So I don't want to be drinking sugary sports drinks because I'm trying to watch my weight. And thankfully, you know, having a good nutritionist that worked with me and a trainer, and I'm aware of, you know, I track my macronutrients and I'm looking at what do I eat every day. So to be able to just drink water without taking in any additional calories has been fantastic. In Gainesville, look at my reaction time round one. You tell me that you know, as a 51-year-old guy, you know, what did I have, an 061, I think? It was something like that. You know, me and Leah were like, we were pretty much there. So sports, any different kinds of sports it would be great for. And what they're also looking at are for productivity for employees, you know, for folks that are going to be, you know, think about UPS and FedEx drivers right now. Think about how hard they're working before the holidays, right? Dehydration is a thing for a lot of different people. So, you know, there you go. Bobby,
you can tell you prima donna race car drivers, this is the fuel that we run off of here in the media center. Or, you know, I got the pecan log over here, whatever. I'll just go do 4 miles and run it off. But
I would say this. You said pecan log roll. I'm going to say this. I think that Stephanie Stuckey and the Stuckey's brand, as they are working their way back and she's bringing that back, I think they would be a great partner for NHRA drag racing. I would love to talk with her.
Well, eat healthy, stay fit, die anyway. So I'm going to look, everybody has their vices. Okay. Some people it's drugs. Some people it's alcohol. Look, I don't run around on my wife. I don't rob banks. I never saw a chili cheeseburger I didn't love.
The only thing I'm upset at is that you have the cherry Pop-Tarts. There's only one flavor of Pop-Tarts, and it's brown cinnamon sugar.
Well, I like those too.
No.
Oh,
no.
I'm with Amanda on that.
No.
S'mores is a close number 2.
Oh,
I like everything but the real chocolatey ones. I don't like that.
Oh my goodness. That's terrible.
When the brown cinnamon sugar is in the toaster and your whole house smells like it, that's a win.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's the aroma factor as well. You see, I don't eat Pop-Tarts warm anymore. I just eat them straight out of the package. So it's strawberry and blueberry.
You'd be amazed when you're working at the media center at 11:30 at night what you'll eat. I mean, you may not even like pretzels, but you'll eat pretzels.
Mhm.
You know,
There is
or
no hunger like leaving a racetrack.
yeah. It's just like, you know, that's why all of us ended up diabetics or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
but I'm
Hey.
on the good side of it now. So
There's a reason Waffle House exists, and it partly has to do with racing and drunks. So there you go.
yeah, the entertainment factor is way better than the food factor.
Hey, 3 a.m. Atlanta Waffle House, you get a show on a Friday and Saturday night. It's a show.
Yeah, we went into one at Shreveport, Louisiana, I believe it was.
Ooh, well, this is gonna be good.
And we drove by there the night before, and there was all kinds of police cars and everything. And we asked the waitress when we were sitting there, said, "What happened last night?" There was a lot of police cars. Somebody got shot here last night, and I'm like, "Really?" Yeah, and they were sitting right in this booth. We left the place, walked out the door, didn't even order. Out the door. I mean, what's the chances you're going to sit where somebody been shot the night before?
Oh, my goodness. Well, it is Waffle House. You never know. You never know. So, Bobby, look, we asked Joe about 2021. You've got Competition Plus, obviously, doing some new things with Competition Plus. The apparel, I know you're trying to expand that. You've got me yakking it up on a show called Power Hour with Sam Smith. Why some of those things now for Competition Plus, and what does the future of Competition Plus look like in 2021 and beyond?
Because the timing is just right. You have a captive audience. You have a lot of people that are not going anywhere now. They can't go anywhere. You're stuck at home, and what are you going to do? You know, we're about to launch another property here in about say another month and a half. That's really going to catch people a lot off guard. But the whole thing is the apparel. For years and years, we had to just find the right timing, and it was like, you know, I got into the business here, and I couldn't do the magazine because I was too busy shipping T-shirts and masks. We just launched a new mask. Let me see if I got one over here. Nope, not in here. I don't require a mask in my office. So the fuel altered mask, and we sold out of the whole inventory before it even arrived at our office. And so we had to turn around like within 2 days of making the first order and order a second order. So we've got another T-shirt line coming out. It's going to be a Nostalgia Funny Car and a fuel altered. And it's going to say, "As American as Nitro." Have the American flag on it and the same Competition Plus where you can believe what you read on the internet thing. So that, and we've got some other properties that are really, really, because I think the timing is right. I mean, once again, you know, when we had the economy downturn and people started getting away from printed magazine, we became an alternative, and our traffic and all the years we've done Competition Plus has never been as high as it was during the pandemic. And I mean, it's just people are so hungry for information and to be entertained. I mean, the library of archival footage that we have built since the 1970s. I mean, some of that stuff came straight off of VHS tapes that NHRA used to sell back in the 1970s and early 80s, you know, when it was like beta. That's how old some of that is. And I challenge anybody to have as big of an archive as we do of all the classic footage of drag racing, because I think it's important to understand where we're going. We have to understand where we've been and what the sport used to be, and understand the fact that nothing stays the same ever and ever. It changes. I change, you change, we all change.
Well said.
Yep, there it is.
I have actually sent the NHRA footage that they didn't have. that I had.
Wow.
Awesome.
But the important thing is that we've got to preserve this stuff, and we've got to hold that, because 2 generations from now, and it's not like I wanted to exploit this stuff. It's, NHRA had all these videos for sale back in the 1970s and this new VHS technology. So I bought race videos like the 1978 Sports National. Who knew one day that stuff would be like gold,
Right.
Transfer it from VHS to digitize it.
Yep.
Because once that stuff's gone, it's gone forever and it never comes back. So if for some reason archives get lost, I have archives that can help the sport and protect the sport and preserve the integrity of it. And the whole, I'll give you a little insight on the Legends, the series thing. The NHRA at the time had a very young PR person that had just come out of college. And Richard Tharp, who was a 1976 NHRA Top Fuel champion, walked in the media center at Dallas. And I said, "Wow, there's Richard Tharp." He said, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "You don't know who Richard Tharp is? Or one of the most colorful drag racing personalities?" "No." "Well, do you know this person?" "Never heard of him." And I'm like, we got to do something about this. So I think that, of my Legends of series, a lot of it has been educational that people never knew. I mean, stuff like Gary Selsey. I mean, did anybody know he almost didn't make it past the first test session because he kept screwing up? He didn't know if he could do it. He lost confidence in himself. I mean, the Jungle Pam Hardy, who made Backup Girls so famous, to get an interview with her, an interview with Bob Glidden, the legendary Bob Glidden. And one time I was interviewing Don Schumacher, and Don was not exactly happy at me for something I had written. Imagine that. And we didn't speak for a long, long time. And so one day I just asked him, I said, "Would you like to do one of these Legends of series things?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And this is right before he got sick. So we did the interview, and we're packing up. I'm packing my stuff up. I got my back turned to him. He says, "You know why people talk to you? You know why people want to talk to you?" And I'm looking around to see who he's talking to because he can't be talking to me. I said, "Me?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Because you'll ask the questions that nobody will ask, and people feel comfortable answering it." So, the latest Legends I got coming up is on Kenny Bernstein. And of course, the COVID. I had a good routine going, but the COVID just kind of knocked me all out of it. I never really got caught up. But the Kenny Bernstein one's going to be special. It's really, really going to be special. Bernstein, I mean, stuff he opened up with about, like his business. I just sat there and listened to the man talk, and I felt like I am in the presence of a business genius. I mean, that kind of stuff. And I really love the show A Football Life on the NFL Network.
Mm-hmm.
And I purposely watched the shows of people I could not stand because I wanted to learn something about them that might change my mind. And I listened to some of the stories. And well, I did that with some of my episodes, like the Whit Bazemore one. I mean, people will never know how hard he fought to get to the top. And you know what? If he runs off at the mouth, he's earned that right because he raced for hot dogs and hamburgers. He did a season in Fuel Funny Car for $20,000.
Did you like Tom Brady before he joined your team?
No, I couldn't stand him. I wasn't now. Me and TB, we're like that now. Me and TB, well. That was about the only positive thing that came out of my COVID experience. We signed Tom Brady. I thought I was delirious, but I found out I wasn't.
The universe balances itself out, Bobby, but God made it that way.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So Joe, 2021, possibly 10 to 12 races. At one of those races, how badly do you want to get out of the car and have that lady on the screen come walking to you because you got that round win?
Well, it's funny. I think where were we, Amanda? Was it Houston or Gainesville? Somewhere where I said I was hoping I was going to give you a reason to talk to me. Yep. I think it may have been Gainesville because I've been friends with Doug Kalita for a long time, and of course I want a round win. I wanted to beat Leah to help Doug. I really want to see Doug win a Top Fuel championship. I mean, hell, look, I'd like to see Joe Morrison win a Top Fuel championship, but I'd love to see Doug Kalita win a Top Fuel championship. And I said to Doug probably 4 or 5 years ago, I said, you know what? I hope one day I can be, one of the guys that puts somebody on the trailer that helps. Yeah, listen, I've been really lucky. Like I said before, I feel like I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. I've driven some amazing cars with my altered in the Northeast Timing Organization. We got used to winning. We got used to winning. I mean, in 2011, we went to 14 races, won 7, and won the championship on the last day of the year. Believe it or not, we came from behind. In 2012, we went to 12 races and won 6. Like it was like if we got past the second round, we won the race. And I would love to be able to achieve some level of success within Top Fuel. I mean, you listen to guys like J.R. Todd, and he says, you know what, I never even dreamed I'd be this successful, right? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I am working for success. I am very fortunate. I love the people around me, and we have a great time together. We all want to win. I mean, look, throttle wax in the pits, being friendly with the fans, that all comes natural, and that's 100% authentic. And we want to win. It's not those ideas are not mutually exclusive. It's funny. I have always been a huge fan of the Snake. I mean, who's cooler than the Snake? Let's face it, right? And I can't wait to get his new book. Snake was so intense, and he had that reputation of don't talk to him at the track. That's not. I've been fortunate to meet him twice in my life, and that was not my experience with him. However, that's not me. I would take exception with people that say you have to hate the person in the other lane. No, you don't. You need to want to win. And the success that I've had has not been out of hate for my competitor, but it's been out of, if I win, I get to drive more. And I love driving so much that I want to win so badly. I feel it in my very core. So to have a round win or two, I think that would be amazing. But again, there's things that we're working on now that we're trying to put ourselves in position to be able to do that. I would like nothing more than to help the Leverage team elevate to the next level. Gary is an amazing guy. Dan is an amazing guy. Bob Leverage, it's funny, he kind of reminds me of my grandpa a little bit. And I would like nothing more than for me to bring value to this team and for us together to all kind of step up to that next level. So that's what the goals are. We'll see. There's going to be some intense competition next year. for the Rookie of the Year thing. I mean, Krista Baldwin, the Greek's granddaughter. Krista's a hell of a driver. She's an amazing marketer. She's fantastic. Josh Hart in Top Fuel, and who knows who the other rookies are going to be. I'm not even sure. I'm just looking in my own class, right? And so I'm going to put this back on the three media people that are with me. Boy, what happens if Tony Stewart comes to Top Fuel? That would be interesting.
Well, I just whether it's Tony Stewart, whether you, Joe, Krista, there's nothing like that first round win for any driver, and to be able to share those moments with you guys and to watch you witness a lot of times your dreams come true in front of us. It's such an honor to be able to take in that moment with you. But it's kind of one of those things that some of the more veteran drivers or those that have been racing for a long time, they'll get, they'll qualify 16th and it's the end of the world. And then you have an Alex Villadovich or someone qualifies for their first race and they just won the lottery. So it's interesting just how the different positions. But congratulations to the success we had this season and look forward to being by your side in next year.
Thanks. And I got to say, I appreciate the way you approach your interviews and the way you're able to allow people to be themselves, to allow the true, authentic story to come through. That's something I admire in what you do. And again, I'll say that for all three of you, quite honestly. So appreciate that. But looking forward to, good Lord, 2021 has got to be right. I'm wait. Let me find some wood to knock on. Right. Okay. All right. We're good. 2021 has got to be, I just feel like, the dam's about to break loose, and we're going to have, once after the vaccine has been doing its thing, and once we're able to start beginning to get back to normal, that there could be some amazing things that happen in 2021. I mean, I don't mean that just for me and the Leverage team. I mean that for, drag racing in general. I think we're really on the precipice of some amazing things happening.
I absolutely admire the positive spirit that I got to say, and I'm not going to be the Debbie Downer, but life will never be the same.
Yeah, I agree.
After 2020, life will never be the same. It'll never be the same for any one of us. But what my deal is I'm just going to kind of slip into 2021 so it doesn't realize I'm there. So by the time it starts to throw all the crap at me, I'm already on to 2022. I'm going to try to be a year ahead of it. But, Joe, the key to getting Amanda to talk to you is to become a journalist. Just wanted you to know that. You were talking about, I asked, it was funny on my way here with my granddaughter in the car. I said, what are your goals for 2021 playing ball? He said, I want to hit 21 home runs. I said, wow. I said, you know what you have to do to hit 2021? I mean, you have to do to hit 21 home runs? You have to hit one. Mm-hmm. Get the first one, and the rest will follow. Knock the first one down. Rocky didn't knock down the giant till he made him bleed first, right? Right? He didn't knock down the Russian until he made him bleed first. He had to cut him first.
It's funny that there's always a process. There's always a process. And that process begins with you win one round, and then you win 2 rounds, right? And then you learn to string 3 rounds together, and then you get to the final, right? And some people are able to string that together pretty quickly. Some aren't, right? Look at how many final rounds, how many years did it take for Clay to finally get his win? But when he got it, how amazing was that?
My advice, my advice to you, as someone who's been around racing, and again, I tell my girls this in softball, when they don't get the results they want, I said, I've never seen a lumberjack chop down a tree with one swing.
I love that. That's cool.
You got to keep swinging the axe, because the moment you stop swinging the axe, the tree is still standing. The tree only falls when you swing the axe. And that's been my personal experience in doing an internet magazine, dating back to the guy said, how are you going to sell me an ad to a magazine I can't take to the crapper with me? You got to keep swinging the axe, swinging it. And eventually when you chop down one tree, here comes the next tree. You know what to expect, and the next, and the next. And pretty soon you cleared all the forest, and you've got all the nature people pissed off at you.
Yeah, right. Well, folks, look, we are a little under from 5 minutes away of having a 2-hour runtime on this show. That has been awesome. That has been great to have all the guests, co-host Amanda Busick. But we're going to end with her because you're the last one to really tell us about your 2021. So chime us in. What are you thinking about? Hopes, dreams, expectations.
I hope I can hibernate until March. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm not good at sitting home and not having anything to do, which is why I'm getting my real estate license. Oh, man, I am so optimistic for 2021. I've done a couple of wrap-ups this week, including one with Brian Loans, where we talked about kind of our highlights of 2020 as well. And just to imagine that everyone came together and really got this season done, and we were able to look at each other on Sunday in Vegas afterwards and be like, wow, I'm so proud of my team, so proud of the people I get to work with. A lot of times everyone sees Brian, Tony, Jamie, Bruno, and myself. They don't realize that there's 60 people working together in conjunction with each other. That, if we mess up, we make them look bad. So we all take that very serious, and to be able to walk into Gainesville and see people that I haven't seen since November, and to know that we're back for another season, those are the days I look forward to. As you guys know, Bobby, you mentioned being away from your own family. Our drag race family becomes our family. So I'm excited to share more memories in 2021 and hand out some Wallies.
Awesome. There it is. Well, to each and every viewer, to those on the show right now, from myself, the Monday Morning Racer, Merry Christmas, and thank you all for your time.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Bobby, thank you for being so open. I appreciate it, man. It was so great to hear. Thank you for the vulnerability, and definitely, I hope many more people hear your story on this show. It definitely is helpful in many more ways. And Joe, look, thank you for your positivity. Every time I have you on for, Leverage Live or chat with you on the phone, it is definitely helpful. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Definitely. Amanda, you're great. Everybody.
Oh, high-fiving you.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Wrong way.
I got the mouse in the other hand.
It's like last night. I felt like I was looking at
trying to get Bobby. I can't get it. All right, that's it.
I felt like I'm raising the roof. I'm making sure my hands don't go where they shouldn't up here. I don't need that. I felt like I was watching an episode of the Hollywood Squares last night.
That show is epic. If Camry and Mark doesn't cut that show up for shorts, that shame on them. They need to do it. They need to do it. That show is epic. That one needs to go on like its own Legends series on Competition Plus of all the stories going in and out of there. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. One of these days, I'll tell all my stories, the ones that really should go to the grave with me. One of these days. But then that'll be when I'm like that old man at the gym that really don't care, that doesn't have any shame. So I'm about a couple of decades away from that.
Man. Well, hey, I look forward to that. There's going to be some good stories to get on film and out there for everybody to enjoy. Folks, hope you enjoyed Between the Slicks tonight here on Monday Morning Racer. Again, to all of you on, thank you. To all of you watching, thank you. Merry Christmas. We're out.